Investors aren't the only ones dealing with anxiety these days. Over the weekend, the man behind Minecraft, the online game, broadcast his stress on Twitter. In a string of melancholy tweets, Marcus Persson wanted the world to know that it's just really hard being a billionaire. One tweet read, "Hanging out in Ibiza with a bunch of friends and partying with famous people, able to do whatever I want, and I've never felt more isolated." Persson, who last year sold his video game company to Microsoft for $2.5 billion, also tweeted out, "When we sold the company, the biggest effort went into making sure the employees got taken care of, and they all hate me now." It appears the fog has lifted for Persson. Just this morning, he tweeted, "For what it's worth, while there are articles about my depression because I had a bad day and vented on a trend I saw, I'm sitting here having a nice day." Good for him. Joining me now is Mark Crumpton.
What are we to make of this? I'm actually glad you and I did not speak about this beforehand so that we may speak out in the open about this
That's
tweet.
right.
Really? That's the only thing I have to say.
It is so hard
really?
to feel sorry for him, right? I mean, he's worth, what, $1.3 billion. He can do whatever he wants. Living the dream.
There's an interesting sentiment, because what was the part you read about the employees? Are the employees not happy?
No, I mean, clearly they made off as well, I believe, in this deal. But I think it's interesting, Mark, because, you know, a couple of weeks ago we interviewed the CEO of Gravity Payments.
Absolutely, yeah.
Who, right, and he had paid all his employees $75,000 because he'd read somewhere the study that at $75,000 and above, you don't get much happier if you have more money. And I think it just underscores the idea that money doesn't buy happiness.
You know what? It's always one of those things, because I think it's something that our parents told us, something that we learned at a younger age. But as you get older, you have to admit that it kind of sort of is true.
Yeah.
If he can say depression in 1 minute and Ibiza in the next minute, there's something going on there that I just really am not understanding here. He's a very fortunate man and a very blessed man to be able to have that much money. And I would assume, having never met him or interviewed him, that he probably gives some of it away for good deeds, for charity. So you're doing pretty well, sir. That's all I have to say, Mr. Persson. You're doing pretty well.
He's clearly doing pretty well. And, you know, there's articles out about him and his quirky personality and how he's an introvert. I mean, I can't imagine anything more miserable for an introvert than to be stuck in Ibiza partying with celebrities. So that might be a reason why he felt very isolated.
But the one tweet that you read, it bears mentioning again: hanging out in Ibiza with a bunch of friends and partying with famous people, able to do whatever I want, and I've never felt so isolated. You know what? I hate to sit up here and play amateur psychologist, because we're journalists and we should not do that.
Yeah.
But I'm just wondering, wondering why. I mean, you don't have to be partying with these people.
Right. Well, no, you don't. And I think...
Speaking of which, you were off for a week. Were you one of these? Were you in Ibiza? Where were you? There were speaking of tweets. Yeah. All right.
It reminds me of something that that Warren Buffett has said one time, which is, because he's the world's third richest man.
Sure.
And people have asked him time and again, what is it like having so much money that you don't have to worry for the rest of your life? And he said something to the effect that, money doesn't change. It shouldn't change you.
Yeah.
And if it does, it only makes you more of who you are. So
Sure.
if you're already a jerk, it just makes you a bigger jerk. If you're already nice, it makes you even more nice.
I remember there was when David Letterman was on, when he was on NBC, and the late Malcolm Forbes was on, and Letterman asked him, "Do you ever feel guilty about having that much money when so many people don't?" And he said, "It's a guilt that I'm more than happy to bear."